Naharuddin bin Ali is the Group Chief Executive Officer of IIUM Holdings, a wholly owned subsidiary of IIUM. Datuk Nahar, as we call him in IIUM, oversees 12 subsidiaries ranging from education, consultancies, healthcare, and even properties. So without further delay, I would like to hand over the floor to Datuk Nahar.
Thank you very much, Sister Aisha. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirrahmanirrahim. Wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And a good morning to everybody here. I'm pleased to welcome. We have three guests here as our panelists here for this afternoon, this morning session, looking at basically holistic performance measurement. On my left, the first speaker or panelist is Prof. Dr. Norma Omar. She's currently the director of Accounting Research Institute, ARI, based in ITM. And under her leadership, ARI has been recognized by the Ministry of Education as a higher institute of center of excellence in advancing niche areas of research in forensic accounting and Islamic criminology. Prof. Dr. Norma Omar initially graduated, she's an alumnus of UITM, and further studied in Iowa to get a degree and MBA in Illinois, and later a PhD, and she's also a member of the Certified Public Accountant of Australia. Her expertise includes financial criminology, forensic accounting, corporate integrity, and her current research area is anti-money laundering and counter-financing of terrorism. I think a very hot subject with the change in the government at the courts right now. Prof. Dr. Norma has been recognized as UITM Best Researcher in 2006 and 2007, UITM Best Academic Award for 2008, and she has also achieved recognition for Global Islamic Finance Award in 2014 and 2015, and the ACQ Global Awards. I believe her most recent success is the recognition as one of the top 10 most influential women in Islamic finance. In fact, second on the list for the year 2018 by Cambridge IFA, which basically is a financial service intelligence house that specializes in developing or utilizing powerful cutting-edge analytical tools. And next on the speaker, the panelist on the center is Encik Muhammad Ikhwan Muhammad Noor. He is currently the CEO of Intercultural Sdn Bhd. He's based in Kota Baru. He's also the CEO of Internexus Sdn Bhd. He graduated again, an alumnus of UITM, and further his studies doing a master's in textile technology in the University of Manchester. I believe he, as an entrepreneur, he has been named as the top 3 Usahawan Belia Bumiputera Terbaik Malaysia and most outstanding CEO at SME at university. A fun fact that I've been informed is that he's also a bass drum player, and he has performed more than 200 shows internationally as well as locally. So, but we don't have drums over here. Anyway, the last panel for this session is Puan Sharifah Musaina Said Alwi. In fact, she's representing QSR brand. The publicity company was once publicity company, which is more well known as the leading food industry player, KFC, as well as Pizza Hut. She is actively involved in strengthening research and community engagement. If you have noticed, QSR brand has been a recipient of Outstanding Entrepreneur Award from Asia Pacific International Entrepreneur Excellence Award. So without further ado, I would like to invite our first panelist. Each panelist will be given 10 to 15 time to present whatever they have slides, or if they have not, then they'll be giving some talk on basically holistic performance measurement. And then I will leave the questions and answers after the panelists have spoken, or maybe as and when each presenter has presented, then maybe we can have a question and answer, but I would prefer the questions and answers to be at one go so that we can address the issues together among the 3 panelists. So without further ado, I would like to invite Prof. Dr. Norma Omar as the first panelist to present her slides and her presentation today. Please, Prof.
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and very good morning. Thank you, Datuk Naha. We get to know each other quite recently when we were doing some project on holdings, of Universiti Awam. So that's how I get to know, and I have a lot of respect for him and a lot of vision and very good accountant as well. So. So I look at you and I think most of you are actually my friends, I know in one way or another from some, even some university, sorry that you have to come all the way to listen to me. But anyway, this is just a sharing, when the term holistic was thrown, I think it was quite, I had difficulty, like what is holistic, my PhD was actually on performance measurement, but when I look at the theme, this is really about how entrepreneurship is being inculcated in higher education. So maybe the question that we often ask is why performance measure is so important, especially in university. We are non-profit organization. Why should we be compared with a profit organization? Profit-based organization, yes. I think they need to produce the sale, they need to produce the profit, they need to do everything that is needed. But why should non-profit organization too need to be, we need to focus on performance. But of course, I think when we look at profit and non-profit organization, the objectives are very different. Nevertheless, I think we need to measure, because I think this is a very famous saying that says, what get measured, get done. If we just say, do that, do this, sometimes people don't really care until they know that when they do this, it get measured, I think. So this is a very famous proverb. Because of that, I think that's why it is very important. For higher education institution, we have a lot of things. For example, why we need to measure performance. We need to know the overall cost compared with budget. We also need to know the number of students, the cost per student, quality of teaching. All this have been entrusted upon us, and yet we need to measure. And of course, number of publication by staff, all the KPI, and for department, cost per student. Sometimes we take it for granted when we charge the fee. We are not so sure whether, because we got the money from the government, especially those from public university. So we are not quite sure how much is actually the cost. So we need to know that. And student per class, what is the most optimum? Should we close when the number is only 12 or 10 or 7? Number of teaching hours, number of library books, how many books should we purchase? All that is very important. But of course, when I was doing my PhD many years ago, the performance measurement was very straightforward. It was very straightforward, and performance measurement itself had gone through a very dynamic evolution. Of course, previously, very traditionally, performance measure was financial. How much profit do you make? How much sale do you have? How much can you make? How much can we save? How much can we reduce the cost? Everything is based on financial. Then it evolved, and then people were saying, I remember when I was doing my PhD, Kaplan wrote a book. He said, because my area is management accounting, he wrote a book, Management Accounting has lost its relevance. Because the performance measure was very traditional, he said. So then he introduced later on a balanced scorecard approach, where it is not just looking at financial, more importantly, non-financial. So it is not just the profit, but also look at processes, SOP, what do your customers want? What do they prefer? When do they want it? Whether our employees learn along the way. So they have a lot of things. They have 4 things in balanced scorecard. As if that was not enough, that when we say evolution, when we evolve through this, the financial thing is still very important. So later on, I think we were introduced into KPI. Then suddenly we become KPI driven. Yeah, I know it is still here now. How many papers do you need to produce? I mean, we have MIRA in university. Yeah, so if you don't fulfill your MIRA, you don't get the grant. So therefore, we have to do. So things like this. They like to produce what we call graph and chart that look nice. Yeah. Then it evolved further. Come data analytic, come all this technology, digital. Now it become data technology driven, performance measure. I like to share maybe, I was following this Alibaba, what we call Global Shopping Festival, the biggest day sale in 2018. Yeah, they call it 1111 sale. How they did it. It was a live update. So when I was looking at it, then I said, oh my God, we accountant take ages to prepare the report. Yeah, maybe end of the month, end of the year. Sometimes we need extended. Yeah, so here is a live update from Alibaba. Yeah, so if you were following it, I think you can get it. Yeah, so they started on 11/11/2018, 12:01 a.m. in the morning. Already, the first minute, they already know gross merchandise volume globally. This is just crazy. They just got 1 billion USD. First minute.
Second minute.
Then, the fourth minute, 19.1 billion. Okay, that one is yuan. Okay, we don't need to worry about how much that is. What that means?
2.5 billion.
A lot, yeah, a lot, yeah. And then 12 minutes. We accountant cannot do this. We have to wait until end of the year. We can calculate. 12 minutes, 36.2. We have surpassed the sale of 2013-11-11. This was the 10th year, yeah. Crazy, yeah. And then the first hour, they have surpassed 11/11 of 2015. Because this is live, okay? I was looking at it. 10:28, after 10 hours, 20 billion. They have exceeded 20 billion. And then they have there, I think that should go there, yeah. And then they have 6 hours. They have even mentioned, they even know which country, which agent have gotten the biggest number. So we ask, where are we? Yeah. When I was looking at it and I said, wow, this company is unstoppable. Yeah? At 11:35, at the 23rd hour, number of delivery orders had surpassed 1 billion. If you follow, of course, like, I didn't follow 24 hours, but they have every minute here. Yeah? It is on Google, you can have. At midnight, yeah, at midnight when they're closing, they have got $30.8 billion. The biggest, yeah, in one single day. So this is what we call performance measure technology driven, because they are using cloud computing. They are able to do this. I remember I was in Bangkok early this year. This guy came and I was just wondering, oh my God, I'm an accountant. Maybe this data analyst will displace us in no time. Yeah, they can do this. But what happened when technology is happening? Yeah, they show us the picture. Everybody was with the gadget. We are not talking to each other. So again, despite the fact this is technology driven, digital data driven, it still have got its limitation. People are not talking to each other. They are just driving the numbers. So there are 7 biggest measuring mistakes. I think this was mentioned by Harvard Business Review. Too many measurable, You want to measure how many per second, how much which country to measure, and measurable, not predictive. Sometimes, yeah, you want this much, but can we predict? Next one, not adequately tracked. You just imagine how Alibaba did. They track, yeah. No one accountable. This is a normal one. Too many people in charge, yeah. Too many in charge. Measurable, too complex. Sometimes we don't even understand what it means. No weekly goals. So as we go along, we take it, yeah. So now, I think even in early 2019, they have come up with something called holistic performance measure. We want to put back people. Let's talk to each other. Yeah? What is success? Success is not just about sales. Success is about understanding. There is a saying that say, they don't care what you know until they know that you care. Talk to people. Understand what are their problems. Yeah? So this is what they say. So I like this thing. Yeah? Sometimes in the funnel, we are very innovative. We want to put things there. That is a measure of our performance. The more we put, the more we get. But remember, in a funnel, there's a hole down there. This is what we call leakages. Leakages can happen because of corruption. Leakages can happen because of fraud. Leakages can happen because people are faced with financial pressure. So we need to have this characteristic in people. Yeah? They are innovative. They are committed. They can be trusted. They are loyal. There are proper governance in the organization. They are very effective. They are very efficient. They work in a team, very entrepreneurial. And these are what we call people-based. So when we have people who have got this characteristic, we can seal the leakages. I think this is the holistic view about it. So maybe in our university, sometimes we have holdings. Holding is being formed to help the university to generate income. So when we talk about this, can we work together, the holding and the university, to generate income together? Can we avoid leakages? Can we minimize leakages? This is what holistic thing is about. So I think for the first round, I think that is all I have. I thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Prof. Roma. I'm sure there are many eager hands trying to raise, but as I said, why don't we finish to allow the panelists to have their say about it? Then maybe we can allocate sufficient time for questions and answers, inshallah. Okay, so I would like to welcome our second panelist, Encik Muhammad Ikhwan, an self-made entrepreneur. And so maybe he has something to say. If you have nothing to, will you have anything to say? So he will, let's give a round of applause for Encik Ikhwan here.
I would like to start with thank you for inviting me. And saya pun dapat sini semuanya orang hebat-hebat, semua at the top level of universities. And I'm just a young entrepreneur that is naive, that is passionate about the future, that what I want to become and what I want to change the world, how the world works in. And saya daripada company textiles berbase di Kelantan. Sebelum saya bermula dengan pasal holistic performance, and ni saya nak bercakap pasal sejarah the company, because it was a family business which is from like 30 years. Then I came in how to change from traditional business to agile company, agile corporations. And banyak challenges on that, and doing that is a bit of alone journey, because being entrepreneurs, because it's about entrepreneurship, it's being a misfit, being this kind of person that will be different from others, because you want to challenge the status quo. Talking about how to change this traditional to agile company. Because the businesses is uncertain. Kita business kita tak tahu dalam is it we put it like this, it's going to happen like that, because business is uncertainty, because even the best of the best is going to fail, because we as entrepreneurs, we have to ready on staring at the abyss and eating glass. Staring at the abyss, which is we always face failures, and eating glass is we have to solve the problem although we don't like it. Okay. So that is the mindset of entrepreneur itself. Be ready to fail, and you need to control. You need to know how to manage those risks, and how I manage those risks, and by doing agile, by doing how based on performance is on agile, agile culture, which is I do like startup kind of way, which is we build, measure, and learn. From that, daripada situ, kita works on MVPs. Not like we put like a vision of, kita nak buat benda tu, we buat benda tu without any iteration, tak berubah. Apa I mean, tak, we don't, kita tak buat sesuatu benda itu terus menuju ke situ tanpa betul adakah benda tu valid, tak valid. So we do it in MVP, we do it in agile kind of state. We have this MVP means a minimum viable product. Tak semestinya kita nak buat produk tu, kita kena buat produk tu, which is we need a proof of market first. We need to do this kind of customer development, which is I always start with by interviewing people, because sebab tu ada satu dari cara tadi kata dia ada masalah nak commercializekan dia punya produk. I'm sorry to say, if you want to commercialize your product, do you ask your customers first who's going to buy it? Kan? Sebelum you waste your time for like 2 or 3 years developing those kind of products. I'm sorry to say, but yalah. Tapi if you want to do some innovation, is it market proof? Is it people gonna buy it? So either you're gonna waste your time and talking about orang tak nak beli barang kita, so kita paksa, and the marketing part and nak mengajar orang untuk beli barang kita is tough. Sebab orang pun tak nak beli. Kenapa orang nak beli benda orang yang tak nak? So it's just a simple economic way, is supply and demand. So that is one part of it. And talking about KPI, we set KPI in the company, but we have this kind of we put it at kita ada KPI, we have goals. That goals need to be done in 2 weeks, and iterate sampailah kita sampai to those kind of vision. And we need like benda tu need to be being flexible. Doesn't mean that things yang kita rancang akan menjadi, because obviously we gonna fail, because sometimes apa yang kita plan tak semestinya menjadi. That's why is 90% of entrepreneurs gonna fail, because we don't know what we don't know. And because we always think we are right until we have this kind of new information, I'm wrong. That's why that's just a human nature. That's why we keep on being agile by being experimental at economically wise. And that is my opening remarks probably.
Okay. We'll have time for questions and answers. Thank you very much, Encik Ikhwan. Next speaker will be Puan Sharifah Musaina. Hopefully she can share the operations of QSR as a corporate organization and how we can apply onto university in terms of performance measurement or benchmarking. Please, Puan Sharifah.
Thank you, Dato'. Can I have the assistant for the slide? Tadi, no. Sorry, Dato'.
The PowerPoint?
Yes.
Sorry, not this one. Session 4, Session 3, Session 2, okay. Okay.
Thank you, Tok. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat pagi lagi lah semuanya. Saya Sharifah daripada QSR Brands. QSR Brands, as Datuk mentioned just now, is actually KFC dan juga Pizza Hut. Tapi sebenarnya we are not just KFC and Pizza Hut company. Just a simple introduction of simple introduction of our company. We are a company from farm to fork. Kami bangga mengatakan bahawa QSR brand from farm to fork sebab sebenarnya we breed our own chicken. We have our own feed mill. We also have our own farm and also contract farmers who work together with us. And then untuk chicken processing also we have our own factories. Bakery and commissary also buat bun untuk KFC and also coleslaw dan sebagainya. We have our own factories of which all this is actually halal and Taiban, and all this is actually being delivered to the restaurant daily. The transportation is actually also our supply chain all is halal, and as well as our store which is our KFC and also our Pizza Hut store. But all out, the most important is actually our employees. Although yang keliling tu sebenarnya is actually a process, employees is not a process, but since to us that is important, so we put it there. So that one is kali lalu untuk apa QSR is all about, just untuk makluman. We are talking about the entrepreneurial excellence, and we are talking about holistic performance measure. So I just want to bring in term of the excellent framework. Yang ini saya masukkan yang simple je lah untuk, say for example, untuk our branding for example. So we have 4 characters or 4 sequence yang penting pada kita sebab in a way industri kita makanan. So people is the most important, our staff. We have plus minus about 35,000 employees and majority is actually part-timers yang muda-muda dekat our restaurant. In term of service yang kita pentingkan, in term of food and also in term of our consumer promise. More or less what I'm going to just share, because I know that basically everybody knows about performance measure, and tadi Dr. Norma pun dah mention, but I just want to share what we did in QSR and also what I understand from other industry as well. Yes, as per what Dr. Norman dah mention in terms of the performance driven. So in QSR is actually performance driven culture. So this culture is actually, earlier we start with balance scorecard, we start with KRA and so many things, but in 2013 sebenarnya we start the journey of performance driven culture. It's not that easy to start something new, to start measure someone. It will be like kita panggil curve punya modul yang mana mula-mula bila kita introduce tu semua macam panic, demoralize, and their energy wise is actually drop. But once they understand, pelan-pelan is normalized and naik, and towards at the end, it's actually it take 1 year for them to really understand. We do have the analysis of which we done 1 year for us to really introduce and get into their mind, because if you don't perform, your bonus, your salary, in a way, it will tie back with your performance. So nak tak nak, you kena perform, because if you don't perform, you don't get the bonus in that sense, and all being measured. Okay, what we did is actually at the group level, we have just now when I mentioned, we have QSR as a group, we also have a breeder, farm, kita ada kita punya feed mill, of which those are each company by itself. So once each company by itself, when we want to do performance driven, we will have a company punya KPI or company what we want to achieve. So at group level, we already have that. When we cascade down, setiap company ataupun setiap division will have their own KPI to support the group KPI. So company tak boleh ada suka-suka dia punya KPI sendiri. Another hiliran, for example, like our KFC and Pizza Hut, yes, of course, that one is main. Say, for example, our bakery just now, tak bolehlah KPI dia lain, dia nak produce lain, tapi KFC and Pizza Hut nak lain. So everything will have to be synchronized, everything will have to be cascade down. Say P&L, for example, the group would want to have this much profit. Percentage-wise, how much from KFC, how much from Pizza Hut, and so on. So that is at company level. If I look at KFC, okay, this much, say 80% of the total group will come from KFC, contoh. Okay, so at KFC also, they will have a division, a department. How much will it come from this department, how much come from other department, and how much saving, for example, from other department. So it is not just a one go, it will be a cascade down from a group level to the company level to the departmental level and so on. So when we inform our employees about all this in terms of KPI and so on, say for example saya akan buat saya punya own KPI based on company, then boss saya akan tengok balik. We don't decide, but we want the staff. When we did this already for about 4 or 5 years, they know already how to come up with their own KPI. And our KPI is not the job scope yang hari-hari you kena buat. Say for example, in terms of in terms of student, you must have student, for example, dalam 120 per one subject ke ataupun satu kursus lah contohnya. In our case, that is already your job scope, you can achieve. That is not your KPI. Your KPI is something that you kena bantu untuk company yang nak kata unachievable, bukanlah unachievable, tapi something yang you boleh bantu, something mega project yang you boleh bantu for the company. Normal data, normal dashboard data, it is not a KPI anymore to us. I will explain detail in terms of that later on. Okay, the one that I get in terms of the universities and industry, I'm not talking about university versus industry to just analogy, but between university and industry. And also, the understanding is actually the searching for a set of holistic performance measure. In the synopsis, we mentioned about agreed objective, which is inclusive of timeline, financial indication, and also reporting. And on another part, we talk about trust, commitment, enterprising, communication, flexibility, commercialization and resource. So, yang mana satu penting? Yang mana satu will be more percentage than the other column. For example, by right to me is no fixed indication. It can be flexi. Even in one company also different level of employees may have different say KPI in terms of the first box, agreed objective and so on. You may put 80% KPI base, another 20% for example is about soft skill or behavioral part. Kalau dulu-dulu the whole thing is actually behavioral because people will say that oh you baik dengan bos, you dapat makan lebih, you can get more bonus. But performance driven is all KPI based. Some will be 100% KPI because you are supposed to be at that level, your competency is supposed to be there already. Say for example as a GM, kalau competency tu tak, dia takkan nak naik jadi GM, for example. So maybe in term of the human part tadi yang Dr. mention, in term of to touch your employees, to engage with them, it should be there already. So may not be count. Is really subject for discussion among the industry or among the companies, whether you want to choose 50-50, you want to choose 80-20, 80 for example in terms of KPI for the senior management, maybe for the lower management, the clerical and so on, you will put 40-60 or you will put 20 and 80 because sometimes clerk tu apa pula KPI you nak letak? It's common, it's a day-to-day job for them. So those are the things that we have to think and we have to ponder and discuss. Now when we know already what we have to do in terms of the reality check because data is everywhere now. In terms of dashboard analytic, you have all those data dah ada. Say for example just now when Cik mentioned about nak jual barang ke apa benda you nak jual, data dah ada dah, you nak jual, siapa yang nak beli pun sebenarnya data is there. The only thing is that buka Google insyaAllah semua ada. So those are the reality. Know what you want to do, know your universities in that sense. Okay, I just want to bring in terms of the new, we are in 21st century, for example, as I mentioned just now, KRA is already no more there. Balance scorecard is still being used, certain companies, KPI, even 360, management by objective, which means you can share between the employees and also the management to decide what you want to achieve and so on. And masih ada juga setengah company yang gunakan force ranking system. It may be less now, but masih ada lagi. But what are the challenge in the future? Even in university, for example, what are the challenge? You may want certain specific expertise, for example. You may not want to have a full-time professor, in the university, certain numbers, for example. You may take, because budak-budak sekarang ni, even graduate sekalipun, they want to do freelance, they want to be specialized. So you mungkin will call them for certain hours, so you have to think in terms of that. You have to think in terms of flexibility. You panggil sekejap je datang, mungkin sebulan certain numbers of hours, you don't have to employ them full time. So those are the flexibility for future. So those are the things that you kena fikir, what you going to do. So those are the areas yang bila you dah fikir what is for the 21st century, for example. So in terms of the performance development, in terms of future, what you're going to do. So I just quote this one company. I think the logo everybody knows is actually GE. GE is the one who start off with balance scorecard KPI 40 years ago, of which ada company lain pun yang baru tiru sekarang. But in 2015, actually they don't use that and they change. And it take 1 year for them to engage with the employee and to change. They don't have rating, they don't have marks. Tak ada ABCD, tak ada rate 1, 2, 3, 4. But how they do their KPI and how they achieve their objective, company's objective. Okay, what they are using is actually, everybody can Google. I just point out in terms of yang bold tu, priorities. What they call priorities. Because kalau you pakai KPI, what you want to achieve. Dunia ni sekarang ni pun, sebulan pun, your numbers tu mungkin akan ditukar. In our company, for example, even now, 6 bulan sekali, okay, compulsory kena tengok KPI. Compulsory. Masa itulah baru saya tengok. 6 bulan tu saya tak tengok pun sebenarnya. But you know your job, you just buat je. But these priorities which is good is actually an element of engagement. We are talking about human just now. So human is actually for the boss, for the head of department to know your staff. You have to know what are the projects staff you buat. And the project tu sebenarnya sentiasa bertukar-tukar. So the moment bertukar is actually the touch point. They will have a system, they will put in what is the priority, what are the project lah sebenarnya yang dia nak buat. Setiap kali you tukar tu, dia akan tulis touch point. So your boss will know you better, will know you inside out, apa project yang you nak buat dan dia tak payah rating lagi. So at the end of the year, based on the engagement that they have with the employee will get their bonus and also in terms of increment dan sebagainya. So there's no more rating because kadang-kadang the mindset of the new generation also, you want to label me A, B, C, sama je saya buat kerja dengan dia. So there's a lot of things, there's a lot of argument based on that. So sama ada GE can be implemented in other companies, in my companies or in universities, I'm not sure. That one is based on our discussion, but this is something new, this is something good for us to ponder. To be fair, our company also tak sanggup lagi lah nak tukar. It's a mindset, it's a mind shift of a senior management maybe. So that is something that as HR communities and also as a leaders yang nak tengok kemajuan, yang nak tengok future performance development will have to, Ricky will have to check what are the new things that we can implement in our company. So those are the things, one of those yang start off by GE. We know, and I already explained about that, so now it's actually for us to make a bold move, to make a mind shift, not only just a mindset change, but mind shift. Okay, now you know what you want to achieve, so you have to check what is the X factor. For example, just now, I'm sorry, I just quote the same example. We were talking about there's a lot of research from university. Tapi research tu tak diguna pakai. I mean, I understand that you have to do the research because of certain kenaikan pangkat dan sebagainya. But research yang tak compulsory macam ni, why not you study what the industry want? I'm sorry to say, I liaise with quite a number of universities, but bukanlah yang datang kat sini, tapi yang tak datang kat sini will say that, okay, what QSR want us to do? What want us to help? Janganlah bagi saya fikir. Why not? You know that we have about 1,200 restoran. You tengok kat restoran tu hari-hari kalau beli KFC atau Pizza Hut, kadang-kadang marah staff yang lambat. Memang betul lah. Kalau ada majority part-timer tu memang saya tak nafikan lah. So why not you come with some innovation, for example. Why not propose to us, okay, there's some robotic, there's some digitalization project that can be done at the restaurant, for example, or at our farm, for example. What are the things that can be improved? Or come to us and say that can we explore and attach with you, for example, for 3 months. We want to come up with some proposal. InsyaAllah, my MD, Dato' Sri Azhari, is always welcome for the professors to join us. Prof. Arham tahu, in terms of the CO faculty, we have about 6 now, and we have a lot of projects since they know us already. So it will be easy for them to propose. So those are the things that you have to know what the industry want. Industry nak ke arah mana. So propose a project, a research of which industry nak. Sebenarnya sebelum saya dekat dengan universiti, when I just do my work and ignore the rest, we know that in terms of marketing, we do a lot of analysis in the company. Takkanlah, say for example, setiap 3 bulan orang komplain, apa ni produk baru? Baru nak rasa sedap makanan tu, dah 3 bulan dah tukar lagi KFC. For example, what we are doing is actually all based on research. Ada orang suka ayam tu pedas, ada orang tak suka ayam tu pedas, but we will be based on the majority. But all this research is actually the one who help us is actually the third party agency. Yang sebenarnya university punya team, professor punya team, with your MBA student, you can also do that. But obviously for us, speed is an issue. We will have in terms of timing, we will have in terms of process that we want the agency or the universities to follow. Kalau nak buat satu projek tu, it will be, say for example, timeline, everything must follow lah. There's a lot of things that a lot of opportunities sebenarnya outside in the market. I'm just talking about just now about the research, about all the analysis. Say for example, another one in terms of what are the projects yang you guys dah banyak buat. It can also be marketed out in terms of social media, for example. It's a free media that we have now. Say for example, satu kursus yang you all boleh buat kepandaian yang ada. Because that's why saya tulis tajuk tu, Entrepreneur Minds for Higher Learnings. And I understand now, budget from kementerian pun tak banyak. You guys have to do some activities and so on. You are an expert. You buat je satu kursus, you letak nama IPTA, Universiti sekian-sekian, orang datang. But the only thing is that people don't know. Because yang keluar tu hanya dalam your website. People like us won't open your website. Kalau saya duduk kejap-kejap, boring, saya buka Instagram. Instagram boleh sponsor apa? So if you want to sell something, your branding, marketing is the most important. Explore and understand what marketing is all about and what branding is all about. So those are the most important, the X factor, which can also help in terms of leadership excellence, in terms of what are the mega projects that you have to do. So just now bila saya kata in terms of the dashboard, kita dah tak pakai, dah tak ambil kira dalam KPI. So these are among the X factor yang you kena keluarkan, yang you kena masukkan sebagai KPI you. For example, okay? So those are the things yang kita buat. Dah banyak sangat cakap, nanti macam beauty. Okay, in terms of the recipe for growth, what we have, yang saya tunjukkan mula-mula tadi, in terms of our excellent project tadi tu, our brand excellent, everyone have your vision, everyone have your mission. And you guys have the values as well. So kita semua dah ada, go back to vision, go back to mission and go back to our values. Once we have that, we can set what is our growth drivers. What are the things that we want to achieve tadi. And in terms of aspiration sebenarnya, kalau kita dah kata macam, say for example, I'm talking about development. So we want to open, okay, instead of 1,002 now, we want to have about 1,400, for example, another 200 restaurant. So it's just a bold decision, but maybe it's already saturated. You pergi kampung mana pun, you nampak KFC. So maybe I have to go out. Maybe KFC have to go out to Cambodia, expand in Sabah or Sarawak. So those are the things that we put in our bold aspiration for us to explore and to have our excellent framework. And the promise is actually, then you fikirlah berapa banyak. It will be a step by step. It will be a different session kalau saya nak terangkan lebih detail. So those are the areas and those are the recipe for growth that we do in QSR. And next, in terms of the strategies yang katalah, these are the examples yang saya keluarkan by function saja supaya mudah nak tengok, relates to you and also apa yang antara universiti dan company yang saya boleh ketengahkan. For example, in terms of marketing, development, operation, people. So setiap satu pillar, setiap satu function tu, it will have their own pillars. Saya just quote example, operation in the restaurant, for example. In the restaurant, I'm talking about in the restaurant means lower level, not their operation head. So these are among the things that it will be measured. Contoh-contoh yang saya bagilah. Okay, in terms of conclusion, what I'm talking about just now is that actually you have to have your data. Data memang tak boleh tak ada. In terms of the data analytic, your dashboard, mindset shift and PK apa yang you nak achieve in terms of entrepreneurial in the university's environment. And then set up what you want to achieve for you and also your team to know what is your framework yang you nak buat. And list all the initiative and then strategizekan how the action to achieve that. And although in our companies, for example, we only discuss mid of the year and towards at the end, but these are the issues that we also discuss monthly in our leadership monthly meeting. Between that, the decision is yours. The decision is actually at the university to balance between the KPI and also your values, your behavioral or your soft skill. Last but not least is actually to deliver result. To me, the most important is actually to get involved. Sebenarnya, since saya talk to the professors and to all the doctors, saya tak tahu sebenarnya ni quote siapa, Benjamin Franklin ataupun Confucius. So saya letak dua-dua, saya rasa lebih kurang sama. So to me, I do and I understand. So apa yang kita tak buat, kita dengar aja. Setakat dengar aja hari ni, if you don't really ask question and we don't have conversation, tak melekat lah. So sekian, terima kasih.
Thank you very much, Puan Sharifah. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's it. We have listened to the three panelists. Of course, not to summarize, but basically the salient points that was discussed. Among others, we saw the need for the so-called financial measurement. When we talk about performance measurement, although mostly we talk about agreed objectives, timeliness, and financial indicators and reporting, there are also other criteria. And other than just we have to look into the trust, commitment, communication, flexibility. I also like the idea on the embracing technology, and we talk about techno-driven measurement tools, which are, I said, beyond our imagination of what a normal human can do. The other thing that the second speaker was also touching on was basically the MVP, minimum viable product, to test the market. Kita test market lah. This is where I think in terms of commercialization, universities have a lot of products and ideas that they would like to commercialize. But how do they put the process, putting to the market? Maybe we can apply some of these tools to test the market in terms of its viability and commercial value. And lastly, the last speaker did also talk about the KPIs, not just the KPIs, they set up as a performance-driven culture, but most importantly, the continuous performance is more important. Right throughout the year, we have our yearly assessment, but it is no longer about rating, but more towards consistently or continuously measuring the performance of an individual. So I will leave the floor to the board, to the questions to the floor now. If you have any questions, I have some questions, but I think there are some eager hands, so I will allow the floor to have the privilege to ask the questions now. Please. Tadi ada banyak nak angkat tangan tadi. Okay, if there's no questions, I have a lot of questions, so I can maybe start. What we did not touch, among others, is how do we manage stakeholders' expectation? As I said, this is a random question that we can pose to any of the three panelists. At times, we have actually in the so-called setting up the measurement, holistic measurement, we may have agreed on certain objectives. But what if the objectives or the measurement that is being set cannot be agreed upon, or when we have actually embarked on the process, there are circumstances that affects the performance. So how do we manage this performance expectation, or shareholders, basically stakeholders' expectation to the performance measurement? Prof?
Okay, back to the question in terms of the stakeholders management. Yes, before we do any KPI, as I mentioned, it will be at the group level. So that will be the pop-up figure of what the stakeholders want us to achieve. And obviously, it will be not just 10 or 15% increment from whatever last year. They will have their figures, but their figures also will based on our trend and also based on the analytics numbers that they have. It will be in terms of, obviously, we want it slightly lower, sebab kalau kita achieve, bonus kita penuh lah. Kalau kita tak achieve, so that will be in terms of the negotiation. Normally, it will be a win-win situation, but yang selalu win memang stakeholder.
So basically,
but
it will be
in terms
top-driven.
of, yes, the numbers, it will come from top in terms of the pop-up figure for P&L. But what Datuk mentioned just now, in terms of kalau tak boleh achieve, midway and so on, every month we will have a discussion. Those numbers will be there, and we are not giving reason, but we have to give in terms of solution. Touch wood sebenarnya katalah touch wood lah kalau kotlah ayam ada musim yang saya pun tak nak cakap lah kan. So those are among the areas that may be acceptable for them. Itu pun we have to get other alternative because our own chicken is actually within Malaysia. So kalau ada alternative lain, for example, we have to come up with alternative. But in case we cannot, we have to inform in advance in order for us to find ways on how to achieve based on cara lain. Thank you.
Okay. Prof, you want to add? Managing the stakeholders'
maybe
expectations.
I think now, especially public university, for example, I think we are relying a lot on the government for grants, for funding, and now is not a very good time, and the amount is reducing. And as such, I think a lot of public university, especially I know, I understand there are also some private university here, but for public university, to generate income, there are a lot of limitation in legally. For example, we do not want to expose the university to legal litigation issues. As such, I think we have a lot of public university. I think most public university have formed what we call holdings. Holding. Overall, I think though the formation of holding had started many years ago, but somehow in general, the holding have not been able to really generate enough to support the university. So I think when we talk about stakeholders here, perhaps I think when we give the function of holding to generate some income, I think they need to be what we call working together, meaning we need to understand each other, because by the formation of holding, for example, the legal issues is limited. So like university, we have legal issue, I think the university will close down. So but if you have the holding, then the holding are being protected. So maybe here we have stakeholders. As far as we are concerned, our stakeholder, the university, is the government, yeah, the student, the parents, the community. But perhaps holdings, your main stakeholder is actually the university. So there is a need. Maybe when we talk about commercialization, I always believe in this. You know, if I am good in making curry puff, I should only be making curry puff and someone must do the selling. Because if I am making the curry puff and I have to quickly dress up to sell, then I will not be effective. So likewise, similarly, I think we have a lot of commercialization, we have a lot of orang kata apa, IP in university. The question always say, how come we are not commercializing? So I hope maybe for stakeholder punya engagement lah, holding can take this up and let us do the curry puff, yeah, the so-called curry puff, and you help to sell the curry puff so that we can focus on doing that. Because a lot of entrepreneurship, like let's say for example, I work very closely with people who took microcredit, yeah, from AIM, from Tekon, yeah. So what happened? Tekon, just like university, they get money from the government, yeah, and they give loan to these microcredit entrepreneurs. And they can make curry puff, they do tailoring business. And then, to whom are they going to sell? AIM is not responsible. Yeah? So to me, I think it is very crucial. Success is measured, the entrepreneurship, from the very beginning of making the curry puff until the selling. I think the total supply chain must be there. Therefore, stakeholders' engagement here must include not just the giving of loan, but more importantly, how can we make them successful? Yeah, so that is just an analogy.
Okay,
Thank you.
Talking about, when you talk about stakeholders, actually because semua dekat sini semua the top management, and it's all about bureaucracy. It's about bureaucracy that the top management nak tukar is a risk, probably is a failure. And why not you just make a new division. So you put there the misfit, the bad boys, the troublemakers yang nak buat innovation. Because the idea always fail. I mean, idea always benda tu betul ke tidak sebenarnya. Probably it's gonna fail. So you just pull or you make a new division that can be agile. That create new ideas, that you put there the white boys, that all the misfits, yang create the innovation. Then that pool, yang go to the market and test the market. Then from there you can build up that kind of agile cooperation. Because talking about a big company, talking about big organisation macam university, top down sangat banyak. So nak ubah serta-merta memang tak logik lah, because it involves bureaucracy. So you need, my suggestion is not make a new department, just create kind of one day of innovation day or things like that, where you discuss all those crazy things that you want to innovate and you test it on the market, things like that. Yeah.
Okay, is there anybody who wants to add on or ask any questions? Yes, please.
Saya ada satu soalan.
Yep.
Saya Uda Hashim daripada UNIMED. I'm quite interested in this innovation commercialization, because for the TNC panel, I'm in charge on this chair for this innovation commercialization. To me, what we are lacking now is support from the real player, especially from the industry, SME. So at the university level, there is a lot of output or research finding. Okay, thousands of IPs. Okay, to us as a lecturer or as a professor, we don't care whether this product can penetrate market or not, because we already have the salary. Okay, we already have the salary. That's why now, if you want to make it all these things marketable or can give the benefit to the community society. So to me, instead of we go to the industry, I think to make it happen, the industry should come to us, see what we have, And then normally the industry, SME in particular, they know better than us in terms of market. I agree with Encik Muhammad just now. Before you can go to the market, you have to do this market analysis. Sure, this is only true if you are dealing with product, consumer, it's an ordinary consumer product. Of course, yes, we can go for this market analysis, true. But if the product is a technology based, for example now, we are talking about kereta terbang. Do you think it's viable? Do you think it's desirable? I don't think so, because we are still not ready. We are capable to produce this. But the government is not ready. If you talk to JPJ, they don't have the policy protocol yet on this. Even for the electric car also there is a problem. Because we have the experience producing a motorcycle. You remember we already have a product motorcycle. We already showed to PM Mahathir. Okay? But in order to sell the motor, we have to get a lot of approval until to Japan. We have to go to Japan to get the approval. To JPJ and so many things that we have to do. So if you leave it all this thing to the university to do this kind of business arrangement, I think very difficult to materialize. That's why we need the business people who are already in this activities come to university. That's why at UNIMAP we do so-called this one a pitching process. Pitching. We try to pitch all our product to the industry, let them know what we have, and then if they think this one is viable, feasible, then they can take up, and then they can go. And then we can go for, of course, we need some funding. We have a matching funding, industry matching funding, just to make it according to what they need to have. So my suggestion is, I think it's okay, let the university go and see the industry. But at the same time, if the industry can come to the university, it's much, much better to help us actually to market all our product, existing product. That's my suggestion.
Okay, thank you, Prof. I think the technology transfer office, so in most universities, or the research management unit of the university will have to look into the commercialization aspect. And you talk about the engagement with the industry. I believe most universities have they call it engagement day, where they do pitching with the commercial parties.
Can I share something?
Yeah, sure.
Talking about technology, how can we actually, macam mana kita nak market analysis on technology itself? Kan, macam kita nak, tadi example of kereta terbang. What is the problem of kereta terbang? What the actual problem of kereta terbang is logistic, bringing one person to another place. That's the thing. We have drones, kan? We have drones yang memang dah ada kat market berapa ringgit, probably less than 1,000. We need to solve that problem. Sekarang pun ada orang dah buat drones hantar makanan. It's a thing of one thing to another place. That is what we call MVP. Then along the way, we develop those things. Then from there, barulah because the same problem, it's a logistic problem. Human to human, then currently we have a capacity to just deliver food to food. So I'm talking about the market demand, technology can be analyzed and can get the data, is it market fit or it doesn't. Yeah, but we have to start with economically wise and yeah, benda tu boleh go to market lah. Yeah.
Yes, Prof.
Assalamualaikum. Ruslan daripada UiTM. Nak tanya, mungkin my question of viewpoint probably might go off on a tangent here, but I'd just like to put forward to the panel members. We're talking about because I noticed some terms which we are very, very familiar with. For example, the gig economy. And I'd just like to put forward to the panel members here, what would you think about, we are talking about a changing job landscape. I'm looking at, let's say, for example, just a hypothetical scenario, the job landscape for academics, as it were. Do you think that the issue of addressing gig economy can be ported over in this disruptive nature, that lecturers become the specialists and they move from one university to the other, offering the specialisms, so there is no fixed university. no fixed tenureship, but all on the interest of advancement of new knowledge. Thank you.
Okay. Any panelist member to answer that? It's more towards administration of the university actually, even.
Yeah, I did put up in the slide just now. It's something for us to think about because in a way now, for example, micro-credential and even our training to our employees at the restaurant, what we are doing now is actually all based on e-learnings. Their assessment also based on random question which will come up. Obviously, we have the coaching, we have the face-to-face, but majority are based on e-learning. We also embarking into with USM currently for micro-credential for our own employees. So all those is actually what we want is actually, tak nampak pun muka lecturer tu. So maybe, I may not say 100%, but maybe in future, who knows that there are something about the so-called gig star that we have to embark and think of. Thank you.
Just to answer you, Prof. Ruslan, I think the Kementerian actually is looking at it. That's why they have recognized, they call it Professor of Industry. And we have adjunct professors who are basically people who are from the industry to share their practical experience and blend in, or if at all, apply for the theory that the students have gained from the academicians. Although I think that now there are a lot more academicians who are also have been trained in the industry, so that will preach.
Thank you. I'm just sort of like sharing that a bit because we're talking about where academics actually right now have this what you call creating a hybrid whereby we work with the industry and we're producing what you call new knowledge, as it were. For example, if you talk about in my field of art design, we are seriously looking into because I just came back from a visit from one of our neighboring countries, and I've got product designers stationed in a hospital, and they design prosthetics using 3D printers. And it's a bit of a wake-up call for me. So I think the interdisciplinary in terms of with the industry should be opened up a bit more. I foresee, for example, illustrators from the Faculty of Art and Design can become visualizers for gene engineering and things like that, inshallah. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, do you have any other questions here? Yes, please.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh.
Salam.
My name is Nick Ahmad Fikri from UTM Holdings, Sdn Bhd. I think most of our
UTM.
discussion may be a bit of
UTM.
tangent. We are on subject of holistic measurement. Is there any way, because when we are talking about business, the most important factor is about sustainability. We are talking about holistic measurement. Is there any way that we can have a holistic measurement of how to sustain business? Because now we're talking, we are in what you call this ever-changing economic landscape, where I've read that branding at the moment now may not be sufficient to sustain business. If you heard that Jamie Oliver, a well-known chef, has to close down his line of restaurant in UK. So he has a brand, well-known chef, but could not sustain the business. So maybe we could talk about, when we talk about holistic measurement, how we can measure how long we can sustain a business. If we are not able to sustain that business, maybe we should be prepared to change with the landscape of the economy. I mean, I'm not sure, but maybe the panel could share through their experience if there is any way that we can have a holistic measurement on business sustainability. Thank you.
Okay, I will just, yeah, sure. Because I'm in the textiles industries, which is, people said textiles is a sunset industry. There was a trouble tahun 2010-2012, which is China dominate all those textile produce, then Malaysia and other Southeast Asia have a problem with that. And currently, China dah maju, dia punya cost of living dah tinggi, and the cost of doing things over there is very expensive. And textiles is coming back home, but it's coming back home in different way. They're coming home in different ways, such as because the demands are different, which is more on mass customization and personalization. Macam saya sendiri, we was in a traditional kind of business, buat baju kan. So in bulk, in mass produce, which is we cannot see any data, we cannot see any analytics, which is who gonna buy it, how much is it the inventory gonna finish or not. So talking about how to keep on being sustainable is because we always need to be innovative and have this kind of innovation. Kita selalu kena ada this kind of repertoire of idea that we keep on innovating, because there's a quote called "If you don't innovate, you die." That is what I apply in the company. Is we always have this kind of innovation. That innovation, although is it going to be relevant or not, we need to test it in a minimal kind of way lah. And to keep on sustainability, we always need to know about the market, how the market works, how the market move, and keep on being a sustainable company. You have to always have these crazy ideas of might be not be logical now, but might be it's a breakout in the future. Yes. Yeah.
I just add in terms of the innovation. Yes, sustainability is actually important, especially for us when we have about 35,000 staff. We want to maintain our staff. In fact, we want to open more restaurants and give employments to more our future generations and so on. Again, innovation is important. Takkan orang datang nak makan just original recipe and also hot and spicy, for example. So every 3 months we may change ayam kicap lah, ayam whatever and so on. So those are innovations that we did. And another most important points for sustainability is actually we have all the data. We have all the data yang datang tu akan beli, for example, family, or dia akan beli a snack plate only or a dinner plate. We have a data in terms of tengah hari yang banyak ke, malam yang banyak, all those things is how we read back our data. Another thing is that delivery business, for example, whether now we must maintain a bigger restaurant, we must reduce the number of restaurants and spend more in terms of delivery. So those are the data for sustainability of our business in terms of, for example, invest more for riders, do more collaboration with Food Panda or Grab Food, for example. So those are sustainability for our business areas at the same time. No doubt, all will be risks. I shouldn't mention, but just for a sharing session over here, we do have Pizza Hut last time and we also have PhD.
There is a contradiction between the advent of Industrial Revolution and SDG. Whilst we talk about sustainability, somehow along the line when we move towards Industrial Revolution or IR 4.0, Industry 4.0, the human factor seems to be less when we apply more technology, more into the applications, and so much so that it is affecting the sustainability factor. Going back to performance, companies have CSR programs, but they have to sustain. The business is primarily on sustainability of the business. CSR is only to improve on their corporate image, and because of that, they have a role to play. Unfortunately, for universities, I think their CSR role seems to be much bigger than the corporate organizations, and this is where whether their holding companies or the university with the government funding can sustain itself if they have been, I won't say entrusted, but more so directed to engage or involved in the sizable CSR activities. So, Prof, I mean, how could we measure this so-called anomaly between sustainability and CSR responsibility?
Yeah, I think advancement of technology is something that we should not take very lightly. I think everyone must embrace, because if we do not embrace, we will be left behind. I think this is what sustainability is all about. I mean, looking at Lazada, not Lazada, Lazada is part of Alibaba, okay? Looking at Alibaba, they are not just looking at what happened in China. They can actually, through their technology, able to look what is happening, yeah? I think if you look if you look at the website, they even tell which country have how many and which one is the highest and all that. So sustainability, I think to me, we should not, what we call it, forget about technology. I think technology should be used for our benefit. At the university, I think it's no longer, I was just talking about a data analyst doing the analysis of Alibaba. They don't even need an accountant to do it. Yeah. So if we do not have our accounting program embraced with technology and cloud computing, when they graduate, they are no longer sustainable. So I think it is really high time that we have all this, not double degree, maybe double major, triple major, law and accounting and data analytics, so that sustainability will have to be there. Because now, I think today, stakeholders want transparency. They want accountability. Sometimes you say, oh, this is private and confidential, but somehow they will get it. Yeah, they will get it, and they will showcase it in the WhatsApp group. They will showcase it in Instagram. So you do not want to have that. I think we want to have technology with accountability, with responsibility. This is what we mean by holistic. We are not saying we are just looking at people. We embrace technology. We look at financial. We look at non-financial. We look at system. Embrace technology with responsibility, and I think this is where people is there. I think when we take into consideration holistically, I remember when Tun Mahathir was talking first time about Wawasan 2020. Yeah, Wawasan 2020 was not just about having high income, because I think Korea got that high income, and then suddenly when they had that high income, they become a developed nation. They forget about things. Yeah, Wawasan 2020 come with adab, come with ethics, come with all that responsibility. Therefore, I think to me, sustainability. That's why SDG we have a lot. Yeah, we have a lot of them, not just one. Yeah, 17 to be specific. And of course, I think it is not just one to solve, but sometimes it is a combination of all of these. So sustainability is, it involves people, it involves technology, it involves responsibility and all that. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Okay, is there any other questions? Otherwise, we'll be coming to the end of the session. Tak ada? So I would like to thank our panelists here today. Give them a warm round of applause.
Right. Thank you, Datuk Naharuddin, for moderating the session. Thank you also to all the panelists. The panel discussion marks the end of this morning's session. We hope that all the participants have benefited from the content of the discussion. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.